What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Party on Broad. Today, the college football playoff is just around the corner, and we are breaking it down game by game, pick by pick. And we're also going to do a snake draft, picking the best players on offense. Joining us, he is Ryan Reese at Philly Sports PSA. What's up, Ryan?
Not much. Ready to put my expertise in college football and, of course, fantasy football to good use.
Yes. And that's why this is fun. Ryan and I have been covering this all year. And then we've got Rob joining, who, if he beats me, I'm going to be devastated. I'm going to be quite honest. What's going on, Rob?
I'm coming for the chip. Nah, man, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to talk a little college football. I was saying to these guys, I've always watched it but I paid a little bit more attention this year. I love the playoff. I do. Yes. Are there questions? Yes. Are there ways that there's going to have to be adjustments? I'm sure at some point, but I'm excited to talk about it here tonight. And then I'm excited to win in fantasy, as always.
Absolutely. We have Tech joining. I'm just here to talk about the Ducks.
Oh, God.
Quack, 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 Mr. Ducksworth. Anyway, also joining us, special guest, my man Ryan Quill. Go check out Pick Swap Media, Sixers Digest, Fox Sports The Gambler, Beef Up Front podcast covers everything college football. What's going on, Ryan?
What's up, fellas? Yeah, like everyone said, happy to be here. I feel like all year we've just been talking about the first 12-team playoff, and now we're finally here. We got the bracket in front of us, and it's fun. You got some awesome matchups, Tennessee, Ohio State. For a first-round matchup, doesn't get much better than that. And then obviously we'll move on to the next round, but exciting stuff ahead and really looking forward to break it all down tonight.
Let's jump right in, man. We are talking Clemson versus Texas. This is going to be a tough one. Clemson has really gotten it together over the last few weeks. The key question is, can Clemson make enough plays in the secondary? Which version of Quinn Ewers shows up? I'll throw it to you, Ryan Quill, first. What's your quick take on this matchup, and what's your pick?
So Clemson's offense looked really good in spurts this year, but when you look at who they played well against, it was kind of the inferior opponents. When you look at week 1 when they played Georgia, they got manhandled. Just 2 weeks ago in South Carolina, they were held to only 14 points. Last week, they put up 34 on a good SMU squad. So what kind of version of Clemson are we getting? Because they can be a really explosive bunch. And Texas, a little bit banged up right now, coming off a tough loss there in the SEC title game. How do they bounce back? And I think Clemson, when you look at them too, they're kind of playing with house money. It's pretty much a miracle for them to be here after Miami squandered their chance to even make the ACC title game. Then Clemson wins last week on a 56-yard field goal. So this team is playing kind of with house money right now. There's definitely more pressure on Texas in this situation. Texas offense just never really clicked against Georgia in either of their matchups this year, but the defense has played really well the entire season. 22 points last week, 7 the week before, 14 the week before that, 10 the week before that. So it's going to be a really good Clemson offense versus a really good Texas defense. That's the thing that I think is going to decide this one. But I do like Texas to win in this one and move on. I just think they're too deep of a roster from top to bottom against Clemson.
Reese, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, you said it absolutely perfectly. This Texas team clearly has a weakness, and it's Georgia. Actually, to be more specific, Etienne, who's, I believe, scored all of their touchdowns in both games. Now, I will say, Clemson, as you said, does have that ability and does look good, and certainly their run game. I really do like. But you're right. The Texas defense, I think, it's too strong. They've faced so much better opponents this year. And, the perfect example of this guy right here, Anthony Hill, that you just brought up, leading this Texas defense. This is definitely one of my favorite linebackers in the country. I just don't think Clemson does have enough firepower to get past this Texas team. And, unfortunately, I'm kind of with you, Dimes. I'm not the biggest fan of their quarterback. So I think just overall, you look skill for skill. Texas blows them out of the water.
Rob, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, these guys will give you the X's and O's. I'm going to give it to you simply. I don't know. Clemson did not have the strength of schedule that Texas had. Texas's couple losses come to Georgia, who, oh, by the way, they're kind of good. And this game is being played at Texas. So Clemson now has to go into a hostile environment. I got to tell you, Quinn Ewers has not impressed me. I have sat there and questioned, but there's a lot of people who know a lot more than me why after the Archie Manning thing they didn't just stick with them. But all right, that's fine. It doesn't matter for this week. I think Clemson's had a nice little run, but I think that run comes to a screeching halt in a big way. I think Texas wins going away. I don't know if this game's ever actually close.
Yeah, I think Texas wins by 2 scores in this one. Texas has one of the most balanced teams in college football. And yeah, Cade Klubnik, I'm not a believer in him. I think a big game is needed from my guy Barrett Carter from Clemson. This Texas run offense is very solid. Trey Wisner, 863 yards. Jaden Blue, 564 yards. I think they're going to test him in a big way. And at the end of the day, my man Phil Maffa, he's a really fun prospect. No disrespect. I think Texas rolls. Let's roll on to Tennessee.
Do I not get the Texas put under my name? Is that just not allowed?
There we go. How about
okay.
Nope.
Just checking. Thank you. Reese.
Let's roll on to Tennessee versus Ohio State. Maybe the best game of the first round. Dylan Sampson, amazing running back for the Volunteers. So much pressure is put on Ryan Day in this matchup. Can the SEC fare in Big Ten country in December? I'll throw it to you, Rob, first. What's your gut feeling?
Yeah, look, it's more than just pressure. Ryan Day's job, I believe, is on the line. I believe you lose this game after losing 3 straight or 4 straight, whatever it's been to Michigan, that he might be out because they're not going to take that. They are not in Ohio State going to take that. Now, yes, the game's in Ohio State. Yes, Tennessee hasn't been too good away from Knoxville this year, but they run the ball really well. And Ohio State was very susceptible to the run 2 weeks ago against Michigan. Not to mention, all it's going to take is for this game not to start off well, and that crowd is going to turn on Ryan Day and the Buckeyes. Yes, it's a home game, but I almost think Ohio State would have liked to have been on the road after what happened in their last home game and everything that took place. I got to be honest with you. I know Ohio State is the prowess. I know that they have, as people have joked, one of the best teams money can buy, and all of that. But I think that loss to Michigan was so demoralizing for them that it's going to be hard for them to get back up. And because of Tennessee's running game and their defense, who I think is a good defense, I think Tennessee's going to squeak out of Ohio or out of Columbus with a W.
All right. Coyle?
Yeah, I think when you look at these first round matchups, we're going to get one upset. And I think this is the most likely one. I think one of the big things that we've talked about or we've heard over the past month or so is like, good luck to these SEC teams that would have to travel north if they had to go to South Bend. In this instance, going to Columbus. But Tennessee, their team is built to play in a cold weather game. You look at them, the 9th best rushing offense in the country and probably a top 5, maybe even the number 1 defensive line in the entire country. You point to, outside of Will Howard, the biggest question mark probably for Ohio State, that offensive line. Major injuries across it. That's been the weak point of that team this year. So I think Tennessee can exploit that. I think that they're top to bottom just playing a little bit better right now. And it's hard to bounce back from such a demoralizing loss as that Michigan game. Like, you got to get yourself back up off the mat. You have a chance to do it. But as Rob was kind of saying there, the pressure, they're going to get tight. If it's down, if they're not playing well at the end of the first quarter, that's an atmosphere that's going to get tight. You'll probably hear the boo birds come in. I think Tennessee walks in there and gets a win. I really like that. It's probably my favorite play of this opening round.
yeah, Ohio State's been a mess, man, especially offensively. Like they can't run the ball effectively. It's been up and down. Will Howard's a joke. I ask Ryan. I have been on team Nico Iamaleava all season long. That guy is fantastic. And you nailed it, man. Dylan Sampson is so underrated. There's some underrated running backs in this college football playoff that we're going to get to once the fantasy draft starts. But Ryan, what's your vibe?
Yeah, listen, I hate that I went last here because I am all Tennessee all day. The combination of Nico and Dylan in the run game, and the fact that with Macquarius White, Chris Brazel, two really good wide receivers for Tennessee. I just think as you guys have been saying, that Ohio State's kind of down right now. And even though they're playing at home, the home crowd isn't really behind them too much. I mean, geez, you just go on Twitter and you type in Ryan Day and you'll see some things you haven't seen in a while. So, I just think the combination of that, Tennessee's defense going up against that banged up offensive line. I mean, Ohio State has potentially two of the best running backs in the nation, and they can't run the ball right now. Their bread and butter is being taken away from them. So Tennessee is going to look to exploit that and absolutely beat them up, beat Will Howard. Will Howard is not a big game quarterback by any means. He's just kind of a guy. He's going to get him and Ryan Day are definitely going to get exposed by Tennessee in what ultimately will probably be a little bit close, but Tennessee will definitely pull it out.
All right. Some names to keep an eye on. As we just trashed Ohio State, they do have some big names. The big two of the bigger ones, I think, are underclassmen. Jeremiah Smith, a wide receiver, the next great one for the Buckeyes. He's been putting up monster numbers this year. He has to have a huge game in this one. And then Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs is just outstanding. One of the best, if not the best safety in the entire country. Make sure you are watching those two guys. We could go on and on about JT Tuimoloau or Ryan. Who's your boy? The other
Sawyer.
Jack Sawyer.
Sawyer. I mean, you can't forget about Emeka. He kind of gets lost in all of this. When he was, last year was going to come out and be a first round pick, and he's just kind of had a quiet season. So don't forget about him. And like I said, you still can't forget about Judkins and Trevion Henderson. They still are two very extremely talented running backs.
Yep. All right, SMU versus Penn State. Man, I personally we got a comment from Steve that the committee got it wrong. I'm happy SMU got in. It makes the season more meaningful. Abdul Carter for Penn State has been tearing it up in the last month or so, month plus. Nick Singleton, Katron Allen, Penn State has an amazing run game, but the guy that is the guy, Tyler Warren, has been my favorite guy for the Philadelphia Eagles for months now. He is their do-it-all weapon, and make sure you keep an eye on him. I'll throw it to you, Reese, first. SMU versus Penn State, where you leaning?
Yeah, listen, I think people are just kind of Penn State fans especially, wow, we got the best draw. This is going to be great. Do not sleep on SMU. They are a very talented team and deserve to be in this playoff. It starts with that offense. Preston Stone is absolutely a guy you need to know about. He's a dude that can absolutely sling it. His main target, tight end RJ Maryland, who I absolutely love and would love him to be a future Eagle one day. Listen, while I do think the Penn State certainly has a lot more weapons and are playing much better. I mean, they really battled against Oregon. And just when you thought that the game was over, they were fighting. So That does say a lot for against the best team in the nation in Oregon. But I do feel like Penn State will squeak out a win. But by no means is this going to be a blowout. Is this going to be a multiple score game? I think this is going to come down to potentially a last second play.
All right. What about you, Rob?
Well, look, I am one of those Penn State fans. I've been a Penn State fan for a long, long time. And I'm not a James Franklin guy, but I got to tell you, I was overly impressed with how much they fought against Oregon and kept that thing. And really, I did not like the play call on the second Alar interception. I thought that they were doing well over the middle of the field, and they should have tried to work the ball down there a little bit more. But the one thing is the defense wasn't great, but obviously Oregon is a different animal, so you can maybe chalk that up. I agree that SMU is a good team. I agree that SMU should be in. But if I was Penn State, this draw would have been the one that I probably would have hoped for a little bit. You knew you weren't going to play at Clemson, but when you talk about teams like, Tennessee and Notre Dame and Indiana, and, these are teams that, know what it's like to play at Happy Valley. I don't think SMU does yet. You're talking about 106,000 fans. You're talking about a rowdy environment, and you're talking about a Penn State defense that has been really good for most of the year. And I think that continues this week. And look, if Drew Alar can do, half as good as he played last week and avoid the turnovers, this team can win a game or two in this tournament and get themselves to the national semifinals. So I have them winning the game. I don't think it's as close as Ryan said, but I don't think it's a blowout either. I say Penn State by 10.
Ryan Kua?
Yeah, I think when you look at Penn State in terms of big picture wise for this tournament, like the bracket, their road to at least the semifinals is as easy as I think any of these teams. When you look at Oregon, they're getting the winner of Ohio State, Tennessee. Congrats for going undefeated and being the number one team in the country. That's your gift. Penn State, they get to host SMU coming up from Texas, and then they have to play Boise State next. Boise State, I think once they face, a legit team like a Penn State, it's a little bit of a different story. And I know we saw Boise State put up a really good fight against Oregon, but that was many moons ago. That was right when Oregon struggled in week one before against Idaho. So I think Penn State has a great path here to at least make the semifinals. And not sure how much you guys are into the gambling aspect of everything, but James Franklin as a favorite, 92-16 straight up. These are the games that he simply just wins. So he can't win the big one. No. I think it's not even the question anymore. Can he win the big one? We're just saying he can't win the big one now. And once they get to the semifinals and most likely play like a Georgia, you hammer Georgia in that spot. But these next two games, most likely against SMU and Boise State, these are the ones that James Franklin just wins. And you could say what you want about him. And I know, Rob, you're saying you're a Penn State fan. I'd be interested to hear what you say. But are you good with going 10-2, 11-1 every year and probably hosting a home playoff game?
I know.
I think most fan bases sign up for that. It's just is what it is at that point. But I'll take a run to the semifinals if I'm a fan.
Yeah, especially first year to playoff.
Yeah,
and look, they were a couple of give the ball to Tyler Warren on the goal line away from beating Ohio State this year. I mean, if they do that, they win that game, and they're a one-loss team, and maybe they are playing a 12 seed. Maybe they are in that Texas spot. But yeah, I mean, for this year, I think with James Franklin, it's like, it's almost like you talk about Ohio State, Michigan. It drives me nuts that James Franklin will just go 8-0 and then lose to Ohio State every friggin' year. It drives me up a wall.
Yep. I'm picking Penn State. I think they roll SMU in this one. Yeah, I fully agree. James Franklin's going to get tested, but not this game. Let's roll on to Indiana versus Notre Dame. I'm not the biggest Notre Dame fan. I guess Curtis Rourke is not underrated anymore. I've been on the Curtis Rourke train all year as well. He is going to get his moment here against a lot of fans are going to be tuning in for this one. The Hoosiers were arguably the biggest surprise this year. They went 3-9 in 2023 to 11-1 and they've had somewhat of a favorable schedule, but the Fighting Irishmen, they've been putting up 43.3 points a game. And I'll get into it in a little bit. I'll throw it to you, Ryan Quill, first. What's your vibe, Indiana versus Notre Dame?
When you look at Notre Dame, and I know it's a hard thing, a big thing to get past with that Northern Illinois loss, but I think outside of that game, you can make an argument that they've played like the first or second best team in the country throughout the year. You look at all their wins are all by double digits, and they've just been steamrolling teams. I mean, the USC game was a little closer, I think, than the score indicated in that 49-35 win, but 49-14 against Army, 35-14 against Virginia. Whoever is in their path, and they haven't played the greatest of teams, whoever's been in their path, they've just been steamrolling them week in and week out. The offense, I think, has been the biggest surprise in the explosion that we've seen from them. Riley Leonard, questionable thrower. I think he limits their overall ceiling, but in a spot like this against an Indiana defense that isn't the 85 Bears, I think he'll be able to hold his own, and his legs makes up for it as well. So I like Notre Dame in this spot too at home. Should be a really cool game though, but I'm not ruling Indiana out. I know that they wound up getting blown out by Ohio State, but they went up 7-0 and they had Ohio State in a 3rd and 33 situation. I think it was. Ohio State winds up converting that. If they don't convert that, I wonder how different the game goes. But Indiana has knocked off the haters pretty much all year, so that should be a fun one. I think that this has a chance to be the closest game of the weekend.
All right, Notre Dame for Coyle. What about you, Rob?
Yeah, I like Notre Dame to win the game. You know, this is a team that I've watched, and all year I'm waiting for that other shoe to drop. You know, like they lose to Northern Illinois, and you're like, oh, okay. And then they're playing, and then like I'm thinking, I had it for weeks. I had it pegged that USC was going to be a trap spot for them, that they were going to go out there, and USC was this weird team. Like they had some nice wins early, but they ended up not being that nice, such as beating Michigan, and they just beat up everybody that was in front of him. It was almost like that Northern Illinois moment was that spark that this team needed, because they have played really good football since then. They've dominated most teams they've gone up against. I love the Indiana story. I love the moxie of the Indiana coach, like the quarterback, but I just don't think that they have enough to take on what Notre Dame is doing right now. I like Notre Dame so much that I'm willing to say not only do they win this week, they're going to give Georgia a run because of the way that they can run the football, I think, a little bit, that they could give Georgia, once again, Georgia's been a Jekyll and Hyde team, but I think Notre Dame wins this one pretty comfortably. But that's not to say what Indiana hasn't done this year hasn't been exceptional, because it has.
Reese.
Yeah, listen, Notre Dame certainly has been overall, this season been a little underwhelmed. That Northern Illinois loss, as Rob said, it certainly was a doozy, but it did wake them up, because they have been playing different. Riley Leonard and the group there offensively has been playing with some fire. Jeremiah Love, running back there, Notre Dame. I really do like. I don't think they use him enough. Personally, he runs at a little over 7 a clip. I've about 15 touchdowns, I think. I think Riley Leonard, the way that he performs, again, he's looking to run. I mean, he's second on the team in rushing with just over 700 yards. He also has 14 touchdowns on the ground too. So. This offense, I think, is going to be a little too much for Indiana to handle. Indiana, again, it's a really nice story. Don't get me wrong. But let's be honest. This team is basically James Madison. Like, it just is. I mean, half their team is transfers from James Madison. And that, while a very successful, school, not a Division I, big-time school. And they're going to, every time they've gone up against a really good program. It takes them a little while to kind of get used to it. Obviously, they beat Michigan, but let's be honest, Michigan's kind of fallen off this year. And when they faced Ohio State, that was their real test, and unfortunately got swallowed up in the moment. And I think that's going to be what happens, against Notre Dame. Notre Dame's just playing too well, too recently. And while I do think this is going to be a nice close game, I do think Notre Dame does pull out and does cover.
Yep, I'm going Notre Dame as well. I think Curtis Rourke has been an amazing story, but Notre Dame is just too talented defensively on all three levels.
And I love Mitchell Evans, by the way.
Yeah,
I don't love that we all have the same pick.
I know.
I don't love it either,
including a 7.5 point underdog outright.
All right,
it could just be for me. It could just be Ohio State hate. I was not going to pick Ohio State no matter what.
All right. So next up, let's go to Oregon versus Tennessee. Or no, Texas versus Arizona State. Let's start there. Rob, quick pick.
Listen, this Arizona State team is scrappy. They're tough. It starts with the running back whose name I told you I'm terrible with names, so someone throw it out there.
Scatterboo.
Yeah, Scatterboo. One of the best names ever. He is just a tough, hard-nosed kid. But, look, I think that one of my issues with the way that they do this is I don't know if conference champions just automatically deserve the buys. Like, I look at a team like Texas who lost to Georgia twice. That's it. Like, that was a team to me that I think was buy-worthy. I understand they didn't win the SEC title game, but this Texas team, to me, has the ability to go the distance this year. And I think that's just a really tough draw for an Arizona State team, right? They get the bye being the conference champions. It's like, oh, by the way, here comes Texas, who is as much a powerhouse as anybody in this tournament. Like I said, I think Arizona State's a tough-minded team. Maybe they hang a little bit, but I think after a while, the prestige of the Texas program is going to take over, and they walk away with the victory.
All right, Coyle.
Yeah, you look at DraftKings right now and the look-ahead potential spot. Texas would be an 11.5-point favorite in this matchup. It starts and ends with Scatterboo on the offensive end for Arizona State, and it's a very tough draw with the Texas defense, 14th best rush defense in the entire country. I think this is kind of one of those where Arizona State has been a great story. I think you said at the beginning, Crockpot, where right behind Indiana, maybe Arizona State's been like the story kind of the year in college football. But this is kind of like that welcome to the big leagues type moment where you're going to get exposed. This isn't the Big 12 anymore. This is SEC big boy football. And Texas is right there, neck and neck, I think, talent for talent with anyone in the country. So I like Texas to win this game as well. I just think it's too much at the end of the day for Arizona State.
Reese.
Yeah, this I kind of now wish we would have done this against the spread because I got to go Texas here. Listen, you're absolutely right. You nailed it on the head. Arizona State is the second story, if you will, of the Cinderella story in college football. They were picked to, dead last in the Big 12, and somehow, some way, made their way and won the Big 12 championship. And again, for that they get the bye. Again, I think this is only going to highlight some of the issues we already have with the 12-team playoff. It should be the 12 best ranked, regardless of, again, if you want to give an automatic berth, that's fine, but don't give automatic buys, in my opinion. But yeah, listen, you're right also that Scatterboo is their offense. You just kind of look at what else that they have, and there's really not much. They rely heavily on the run game. And their defense can step up at times, but Texas is just everywhere you look. Texas has somebody bigger, faster, stronger, and it's going to, honestly, I think it's going to be a bloodbath.
Yep, I'm rolling with Texas. Tennessee versus Oregon. Ryan, Reese.
Now, see, this one might be one of the more fun matchups for me. I really do and have liked Tennessee all year. And listen, obviously Oregon undefeated has looked great for most of the years, but at times, again, looks kind of average, but they just know how to win games. And I think ultimately that's what's going to happen here. I think this is going to be, who has the ball last kind of situation. And I do end up thinking that Oregon's going to win a really, really close one. So I'm not sure what the future line might be, but I would probably not take Oregon.
Rob.
Yeah, man, Oregon just finds ways to win, right? We were talking about that on our show earlier today about some of the professional teams. Is you just got to find a way to win, but they're really talented too. And Dylan Gabriel has been really good for them this year, both running when needed to, but also passing the ball. I really like this team. I think that they are the best team in the country. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to always win, but Tennessee. Love the start to their season. Love how that defense didn't give up a touchdown for a couple games. Love the way they run the football, but I don't know, man. I just think Oregon's just too powerful. So in the end, I think Oregon pulls this one out.
All right, Coyle.
I'll go with the upset here. I'll go Tennessee. I think Tennessee, out of any of those teams that is playing in the first round, even over Texas, is the team most equipped to potentially make a run to the title game and win it. I think when you look at the way that they play and their recipe, really good at running the football, as we touched on with Samson. Nico has the ability to make the big time throws, convert on third downs, move the chains when needed. And then you have an elite defense. I think they have the winning recipe to be a player, to eventually hoist the trophy at the end of this whole 12-team playoff. So I'm going to take them with the upset there over Oregon, and kind of goes back to that's why there's going to be some changes. If Oregon loses this game, their first game after going undefeated the whole year, that's going to be a major problem in many people's eyes, because that is a much tougher draw than what Penn State is most likely walking into.
I like it. I'm a big Nico guy, but I don't think he can handle this matchup. I think Oregon's defense. I thought Penn State would fight a little. They did battle against Oregon, but I still thought Penn State had a real chance to win that game. I was really impressed with Oregon. I think even defensively, they've got some really nice players on that defensive line, especially my guy Derek Harmon, Jordan Birch. They're loaded, and they also have on offense a major Eagles target to know, Tez Johnson, who is just a spark plug. They found that matchup against Penn State and just exploited it over and over and over again in that slot in the middle of the field. So keep an eye on Tez Johnson. I'm going to go with Oregon, with Ryan Coyle being the first one to pick a different pick than everyone else. I love it. Let's roll on to our next one, and that is Penn State versus Boise State. Ryan Coyle.
Give me Penn State there as well. Kind of just goes back to my point at the beginning where James Franklin wins the games he's favored in more times than not. He wins one he's supposed to. Doesn't win the ones against the better teams. And I think this is a pretty good draw for Penn State. It's going to be much different blocking the guys like Abdul Carter and the players on that Penn State defense for Boise State players rather than blocking guys from Wyoming and UNLV. All respect to them, San Jose State, whoever you want to throw into the mix. But Penn State is kind of just like a welcome to the big leagues type moment. But if Ashton Jeanty is able to have that game-breaking run, it's possible. But I do like Penn State in this one, and think they have a great path to at least make it to the Final Four. And I would chalk that up as a very successful season for them.
Rob.
Yeah, look, obviously we know how good Jeanty is, but you're talking about playing against one of the best defenses in the country. You're talking about Abdul Carter and that front. Look, I know that Boise used to be the darlings, and it started right here where they're going to be playing. I think they're in the Fiesta Bowl, which is where they beat Oklahoma all those years ago to surprise just about everyone. But they're no longer that team that creeps up on you, and I think Penn State will be ready to play. I think that this is a game they should win, and they will win, and they'll move on to the Final Four. And like Ryan said, I mean, if you're the Final Four team in college football, you've done something right this year. So it would be a very successful season if it were to end there for Penn State. But I'm not quite sure if I'm saying that yet. We'll find out later.
Reese.
By the way, that was Ian Johnson that scored for Boise State and then proposed to his girlfriend.
Yep. Who was quite attractive, if I remember.
You are correct.
Yes.
But listen,
Not that
just
it
like
matters, but-
right, not that that matters, but just like a one great Boise State running back to another, Ashton Genty is going to show the world why he's the best running back in the nation and upset Penn
Wow.
State on the ground. He's been practically averaging almost 200 yards a game. Again, I get it. UNLV is probably the toughest opponent. Although they did play Oregon earlier in the season, and I think had almost 200 yards there, 192 and 3 touchdowns. Sorry, against Oregon. So just say that he can't do it against tougher opponents. He'll certainly knock that narrative, out of the park. And while Penn State has a great front four, they'll find ways to get him in space and absolutely demolish that defense in a close game. I'm not saying that they're going to win.
Demolish the defense in a close game. There's an oxymoron for you.
Not necessarily. I'm saying Penn State's going to move the ball just as much.
So Ryan, you basically have just told me you're just another Pennsylvanian who hates Penn State with that pick.
I have,
He's a Pittsburgh fan.
I have 3 words for you.
Go Pitt.
Hell to Pitt.
Oh my God. You just picked with your Pitt love. How ridiculous are you?
No,
Yeah.
this is an absolute trap. And everybody's we got the best
Trap and playoff? There's no such thing as a playoff trap. That's not
there is when you have small schools like Arizona State and Boise State. You're gonna absolutely go in there thinking, this is fine. We got an easy shot to the semis. And Ashton Genty is gonna say,
what do you think? This is Morgan State versus Virginia? Get the hell out of here.
Okay. I'll put money on it. I'm so confident.
Oh,
Wow. No, I think Penn State wins by 2 touchdowns at least. All right.
Just shut them up right like that.
Okay, listen, you have your own, Penn State bias. I get it.
Yeah, go drive up to Pittsburgh. Nobody wants you down in this area. Go to Pittsburgh.
All right, let's roll on. Notre Dame versus Georgia. Ryan Coyle.
Notre Dame, Georgia, I think is another great reason why this 12-team playoff is awesome. I mean, that's the ratings for this game is going to be insane. This might be the most watched game. The big thing to watch, and I'm not a Carson Beck fan. I think he actually has limited their ceiling this year because of his turnovers, and he just hasn't played great. He's regressed a lot since last year. Came out today that he's dealing with a UCL injury. We saw him leave the SEC title game. How serious is the injury? We don't know, and they have close to a month to get him right. So will he be playing quarterback? That is a big thing in this one. But I'm going to go with the upset here with Notre Dame. I think if Beck's out, that severely limits that offense because Stockton, he played all right. They moved the ball, but he's nothing really to talk about. I was surprised to see him go in. They have Rashada, the transfer from Arizona State, a former 5-star guy. I thought he would have gone in. That's something I would keep an eye out for, potentially for him to start. Maybe they just felt Stockton was the better option to go in on the fly. But I would keep an eye out for that. But I'm going to go with Notre Dame in an upset here over Georgia. I think there's an argument that they're the second or third best team in the country, that the way that they've been playing since that Northern Illinois game.
Rob.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Georgia is one of these teams this year, and I think a lot of it has to do with what Ryan said. I don't think Carson Beck has been great. That injury looked extremely similar to Brock Purdy from a couple years ago. Where, the fact is he came back in the game and was able to hand it off, but nothing else. So I don't know if he's going to be back. They're obviously going to keep it close to the vest. And I just like the way Notre Dame plays. I mean, this was kind of the pick that I've been going with in my head. I really think Notre Dame's going to find a way to pull it off. And I think they're going to lean on that run game a little bit. They're not going to make it Riley Leonard has to beat them in the air, but they're going to lean on the run game and, control the clock. And take it and beat Georgia to set up a semifinal matchup of the age. You want to talk about ratings? Penn State Notre Dame's always been a rivalry where they never play, and now they're going to play because Ryan Reese is wrong. It's going to be Penn State and Notre Dame in the semifinals.
All right, Reese.
Well, one of the reasons why you're going to be wrong is because the Georgia Bulldogs are going to win this game. While they are certainly a talented team, they have obviously had an up and down season where they'll lose a game where it doesn't really make sense, and then they'll beat the brakes off of Texas apparently anytime they want. I just think Notre Dame, unfortunately, just while they've been playing great lately, I just don't think has the firepower offensively or defensively to handle Georgia and everything that they could throw out at them. And yes, even if Beck is banged up, again, he has not really been the true difference maker on this team, in my opinion. So I certainly have faith that there's another guy behind that'll certainly be able to hand the ball off to Etienne and dump it off to Delp and Urasek. So yeah, I'm going Georgia all the way. And like I said, they have a month to make sure that Beck's good enough to get in the game. I'm sure they will.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with Georgia in this one. I just think their defense, Mal Munden Jr. is back. I feel like the defense is somewhat starting to get back together. Let's go to Texas versus Oregon and Tennessee. Reese.
All right, so what are we doing?
This is
Texas
the final
versus-
four, I guess.
Texas versus Tennessee? Is that where we're going with? Or no?
Texas versus Oregon / Tennessee. So I'm trying to see who you had. You have Texas and you have
I have
Oregon. Texas versus
Okay. Yeah, listen, I think I think Oregon's just going to be a little too strong for Texas to be able to handle. And while I think Texas, in my opinion, is one of my favorite teams, I think this year, they have the ability to beat anybody. But Oregon right now is just finding ways to win regardless. And, again, I think you look at what Georgia has been able to do versus Texas, and they basically wrote the blueprint on how to beat the Texas team. So I think, they're going to rely heavily on Jordan James and Dylan to run the ball and just kind of kill them that way, same way that Georgia kind of did. So I'm going to go Oregon here. They're just playing too good right now.
Rob.
Listen, Texas saw themselves in the Final Four last year, and they played against a Washington team that was just really good, and they just ran out of gas against them. That, I think, experience in this type of situation plays, and I just think that eventually this luck, or not luck, but this finding ways to win runs out for Oregon. I think Texas has a chip on their shoulder. I think they have all year, and I think losing both games to Georgia in the SEC was a big one. And I think that they want another shot at them. They're hoping to get another shot at them. Now, I don't have Georgia making it here, but I think Texas is going to upset Oregon, get to the championship game, and get that opportunity to play and finish what they started with last year's group and what will be Quinn Ewers' last start.
Well,
yeah, when you look at Texas, I think their path to this spot is a lot easier than when you look at what Tennessee will have to get through. That's the thing that worries me a little bit about this pick, but I'm going to go with Tennessee. I think they're built very similarly to Georgia, and Georgia has been the team to give Texas some fits this year. I think Quinn Ewers and the way that he's played since returning from injury hasn't been great. It's not giving me much faith. I think he kind of limits their overall ceiling. I think this is a very low-scoring game, of defensive slugfest, like a 13-10 type game. Kicking and special teams could be a major factor in this one. But I'm going to roll with Tennessee. I think that they're right up there to win the entire thing. So give me the Vols moving on to the championship.
I like it.
I am so annoyed that all my picks are the same as Reese right now. But
Well, that just means that you guys are dead wrong.
Well, that's not true. I had Boise State, not Penn State.
Oh, you did?
That,
Yeah.
that
You
was
switched it.
stupid.
I mean, I got it.
He
There's
knows
two
that you really
Ryans.
wanna
It's very
take.
confusing. I get it.
All right. That makes me feel a little bit better.
There
But I'm
you go.
going.
You happy? You happy about it?
I'm going Oregon. All right. Let's finish this out before we get to the fantasy draft. Quill, who is your winner between Boise State and Notre Dame?
I got
that would
Penn.
be
I got
that
Penn
would be
State.
Penn State.
Notre Dame.
Only
yeah.
one idiot chose Boise State here.
My bad.
Wow.
This is probably the biggest toss up I think I've had yet, but I'm going to go with Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame will wind up being a favorite in this one, probably like a 2.5-point favorite. And for that reason and that reason only, I'll go with Notre Dame. James Franklin as an underdog, not going to cut it. I love just the way that this Notre Dame squad has played over the past 10 weeks or so. Give me the Irish going on to the final, and that would be I think the 8 seed versus the 7 seed would be a pretty wild first college football playoff.
I was just going to say that would be an awesome finals to see Tennessee and Notre Dame. That would be pretty cool.
All right. Langy.
Well, look, I agree that I think it'd be a toss-up. It could very well be a pick on 1 point, one way or the other game between Penn State and Notre Dame. I just think that if this Penn State defense does what they're supposed to do, I think guys such as Tyler Warren and Nick Singleton, who are both dynamic playmakers, the key for Penn State is this. If Drew Allard does not turn the ball over, they can win against almost anybody. And I think Penn State will eke out a win against Notre Dame to face Texas in the national title game.
Praise BLR.
Reese.
You going to put Boise State in the title game too, you dope?
Sorry. Homer. I'm sorry.
That's the last thing I am. I normally always pick against them.
Well, listen, Georgia is going to roll over Boise State. It's not going to be a fun game. It's certainly not going to be what college football, I'm sure, was hoping for ratings wise. But the Bulldogs get themselves into the final.
I agree. Georgia, Oregon in the final. Reese, who is your national champion?
Bulldogs.
Georgia with the W. Langy.
Horns, baby. Texas Longhorns win the title.
Coyle.
Rocky Top, Tennessee.
Love it.
Wow, that's awesome.
I most would root for yours, by the way. I love
Yeah.
Tennessee.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I will
I went
roll.
to a Tennessee game this year, so maybe it's a bias for me.
That's
That's
All
kind
right.
of the list.
All right. We are done with that. We will be following along during the college football playoff.
We
let's-
sure will.
Let's go to our wheel spinner to see who gets the number 1 pick in our fantasy draft.
We're doing a quarterback, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, a tight end.
Yep.
Of course, this idiot gets the first pick.
All right, Reese, you get the number 1 pick.
Let's go.
Let's see who
You
gets,
always win fantasy. It's because you always get the first pick.
let's see who gets the second pick.
Oh,
Coyle.
come
Oh man, that was definitely what you'd have last pick.
Picks will make any sense in this. My picks will not make sense in this. I
I
can tell you
know.
that right
That's
now.
what's gonna be so good about it.
Third pick, me. and
Oh,
then
Jesus
Ben.
Christ Almighty!
All
This is
right.
gonna be like, what was that mock draft where I just was like drunk? I think and I picked the single worst mock draft of all time. They're pretty sure that's what's about to happen right here.
Yeah,
So-
and I'm pretty sure PFF still gave you like an A.
Yep.
Oh,
So
yeah,
get
that
ready
was
for this,
awesome.
baby.
All right. Reese, you're on the clock.
Ah, man, tough choice here. But since I do have them winning a game, it's an easy choice. I'm gonna go with Aston Genty.
It's gonna suck when he only plays one game and is out.
Yeah, still has more rushing yards than everybody else.
Coyle, who are you going with your first pick?
I feel like I got to go with someone from Tennessee in this circumstance, so I'll go with Dylan Sampson. I think right next to Genty for the best running back in this tournament. So give me the Vols running back there.
Dylan Sampson from Tennessee. I'm on the clock, and this is obviously a no-brainer for me. I'm going tight end because there's not a lot of great tight ends.
You son of a whore!
What a shocker!
And
You picked the one guy Rob knew.
All I wanted. He was all I wanted. He was literally all I wanted. Everything else was going to be a crapshoot. He was all I wanted, and you ruined it.
I love it. I love it. All right, Rob, back to back.
Yeah, you suck.
So happy.
I'm gonna double up on Ducks just from my man Q. We're gonna go with Gabriel and Tez Johnson. We're gonna double up on Ducks.
Interesting.
Quack quack.
His name's Gabriel. He's not Johnson.
Ah, Jesus.
Even Rob knows that.
God, so stupid.
All right. I am next. I'm going to go with the hot hand. He might only play one game. Give me Cam Scottaboo.
Scottaboo.
All right, Quill, who's your pick?
In this spot here, I'll go with Quinn Ewers. I think that they're gonna win 2 games. I think they're at least gonna make it to the semifinals. So probably put up some good numbers over that span. But yeah, give me Quinn Ewers.
Okay. Reese.
Give me I'll go with Trevor Etienne.
Okay.
Trying to think of who.
You're just trying to pick who I want to pick. I know you.
No, I'm just trying to figure out who I had going in the semis. It's Boise and Notre Dame, maybe.
I'm just picking guys who I think put up big numbers. That's all. I'm not thinking multiple games.
And that's why you're not in the playoffs.
Goes at his neck.
Sorry, so sorry. Man. Sorry, I'm like blanking on people. I'll go with. I don't know. I'll go with RJ Maryland.
Interesting. Okay. Quill.
In this spot, I'm gonna go with Jeremiah Smith. I think if Ohio State does get past Tennessee, he has a big day. So give me Jeremiah Smith there.
Great choice. I'm going to go to Oregon. Give me Jordan James, the running back. Rob.
I got to go with someone from my national champion at some point here. So give me Jaden Blue. Okay,
Ooh.
give me Jaden Blue. And then I have no idea. You know what? Let's stay in the Longhorn State. Give me Golden. Give me Golden.
Matthew Golden.
Yes.
Okay.
8 touchdowns. Give me Golden.
All right. I am on the clock.
By the way, I need Texas and Oregon to absolutely meet in the semifinals right now. But if they do, that means I got somebody in the finals.
Reese does not have a quarterback. Do I bite the bullet now?
I'm not even thinking quarterback, to be honest.
I have 2 that I really like, so I'm going to pause on that. What do I need? I need wide receivers. I need wide receivers.
Yeah, we need the same damn things.
Sure.
All right, I'll go Isaiah Bond for my
Nice. I was thinking him.
Quill.
I'm gonna go with Nick Singleton, running
Nice.
back.
All right, Reese, back to back.
I will go with who's my guy? Damn it, I just had him. Where did you go? Evan Stewart.
Okay.
And I'll go with
What?
You heard what I said.
That wasn't English.
Did you say
neither
Nico?
neither of his last name. Nico, yes.
All right, Quill.
I'll go with Mitchell Evans, tight end Notre Dame.
Nice.
All right. I am going to
I officially know no tight ends left, so this will be fun.
I will go
Had 3 tight ends I knew the names of.
Emeka Egbuka for me. Rob,
Last two.
I don't freaking know. Give me give me Judkins from Ohio State, because if they do win, I think he'll be good.
I like it. It's amazing how
And-
far he's fallen.
And then
I
give
know,
me
right?
yeah, and then give me 20 minutes to come up with, with,
All right, you need
with
a tight
another
end.
tight end playing.
Terrence Ferguson.
Actually, the only one I was going to go with.
Ferguson, that's a good one.
Who's he played
Who?
for?
Tennessee. Gunnar Helm is also a really good tight end.
Texas.
Is that where's Gunnar Helm? I know that name.
Texas.
He's a tight end for Texas.
I already have 2 Texas offensive players. I can't put their whole damn team out there. Give me the kid from Tennessee.
From Tennessee? What?
Didn't you say the tight end from Tennessee? You said it was a tight end from Tennessee.
The tight end. I don't have a tight end for
Miles-
Tennessee.
Miles-
That's just what you just said to me. I thought
Miles
that's what you just
Kitselman.
said to me. No, I thought that's what you just said to me. The
No,
first name you gave
Ferguson
me.
is the tight end from Oregon.
Oregon.
Jesus, that's all I have is Oregon and Texas players.
Well,
You got
whatever, they're going to go far, so you're going to win.
Shut up. No,
Good pick.
you stop it. Give me a minute. I'll come. Hold on. Hold on. Where the hell am I going?
Well, nobody else needs a tight end, so we can all move on.
Yeah, you guys
Yeah.
can move on. I'll take the tight end afterwards.
All right, I'm going Drew Aller for my quarterback.
Who's
Coyle.
BLR?
I'm gonna go with Dante Thornton, receiver for Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
Dante Thornton. Interesting. Reese.
I need another wide receiver. Crap. I already have a.
Antonio Williams for Clemson's good. Elijah Surratt out of Indiana is really good.
I'll take Jeremiah Smith.
That's already taken.
Did he? Dang it.
What an idiot.
I know. Look at me. I'm that guy.
That was a great pick. I was probably going Jeremiah Smith. That was a really solid pick.
Dang it.
You could take Cardinal Tate from Ohio State, and then all the Ohio State receivers are going to one quarterback.
Good.
You go. Who was that guy for Texas that was getting a lot of looks in the end zone? He's a freshman for Texas.
Was it Cook? That's the only other Texas wide receiver right now. Jonte Cook.
Ryan Wingo.
Yeah, he has 1 catch on the year. Which, by the way, since this guy's taking forever,
Oh, you have no room. No
why
Who's
did you
rolling
put a
with
tight
Rob?
end? Why did you put a tight end in for me? I didn't pick him.
All right, go for it.
I'm taking another Longhorn. Hook 'em horns, baby. Give me Gunnar Helm. I got 3 of the top 5 receivers there in Texas, baby.
Reese, do you have your pick?
God, no.
Jesus.
Hey, Reese, some of us want to go to bed.
I know. I'm sorry. I will go with Arian Smith.
Arian Smith.
Just making.
Well,
up
who's he
names
play
now.
for?
Georgia.
Georgia.
Aaron Smith. He plays for Georgia Southern.
Yeah.
All right, there it is.
Southern State.
We will be following along during our weekly shows and making fun of Rob and Ryan Reese's team as always. Let's
Somehow
close up.
in the championship ride. Let them hate. Let them
Yeah,
hate.
no,
Ryan.
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, guys. How many championships you won?
Oh,
None.
I'm in 5 fantasy leagues. Guess how many playoffs I'm in? 5, baby. 5. dominating this year.
Ryan Coyle, plugs. Let's wrap this up.
Yeah, we'll be on Fox PHL Gambler over the next few weeks, breaking down all these matchups. So yeah, looking forward to it, and excited to see my Tennessee Vols hoist that trophy January 20th.
Rooting for you, man. That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
That would be fun.
Rob, any final thoughts? Wrap it up.
Yeah. Party on Broad. I just lost my survivor pool. We do a top score of the week from week 6 through 16. And I was in the finals, and Chase Brown blew me out of the water here tonight. So very disappointed by that. But that's right. I'll just go win the league instead and win even more money and really piss people off because it'll be back-to-back titles. Anyway, yeah, Party on Broad at Philly_Madness. Whenever these guys invite me on the other shows and I could do it, I will say yes. They just have to invite me from time to time like they did this today, which I think they only did it because I was already on with them right before this. But that's okay. It's fine. I'm not mad or upset or anything. All right, I'm done now. I'm getting delirious. I got to go to bed.
Reese.
Oh, man. You can follow me right here on X. Make sure you're following the Eagles Pinpool Network as well. Wherever you get podcasts, wherever you find Facebook, YouTube, wherever you watch. Got a new show starting there. I think it's our 3rd episode this Wednesday. Football Smack Talk show. And then, of course, Birds of the Round Table every Tuesdays at 8 o'clock. The best Eagles show in the nation. So check it out.
All right. If you love college football and the NFL draft, I dropped my top 10 tight ends yesterday. Go check that out. And then I am working on corners and wide receivers this week. So that'll be dropping as well. So, guys, thank you, everyone, for watching. He is Ryan. He is Ryan Quill. That is Rob. See you on the next one. Stay awesome.